Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I'm going to say it again. I want Bitcoin to do well, I want Ethereum to do well, I want XRP to do well, I want them all to do well on a level playing field where there's real competition amongst all these digital assets. What's not right is for our government to be picking winners and losers. I do not want to be covering this, but I'll continue to cover it until there's a level playing field and it's fair out there and we have actual capitalism where where different companies and digital assets are able to compete on a level playing field. That's all any of us ever wanted. So here we go. First, I'm going to show you this clip from BitBoy right here.
Telling you guys this, that when it comes to XRP, the secret sauce is the RippleNet platform. CBDCs from other countries, as they're launched, they can integrate into that Ripple platform. There is not another platform in the world that does what Ripple does. I hear people saying stuff like, the banks can just do it themselves. They can't. That's the whole thing. That's what I've been trying to tell you guys for months. They cannot. They need this software. They need RippleNet to be able to tie together the entire world's banking financial system. Yeah, it's not tied together.
I don't know what makes people think, what experience they've ever had.
Burma is formerly Myanmar.
With their bank, to think that a bank can just whip up really good cutting edge technology that's like the bleeding edge of anything we've ever seen before. Like, have you ever gone to a bank before?
It's the antithesis of that for sure.
I think he's right in that RippleNet is the best and that what Ripple's been working on is the best. The part where I think he might have a little issue is he assumes that nobody would put Ripple and XRP in purgatory. But that's what's been done by the SEC, and you have to wonder why. Let's just keep watching, and we'll see what kind of conclusions you can draw. I'm just going to present you the facts. This is a John Deaton tweet. He's retweeting my video from this morning. And he says, Milton Friedman is highlighted in the clip below. A man of vast knowledge. He predicted what turned out to be Bitcoin in 1999. No better source on monopolies and antitrust than him. This clip reminded me of that World Economic Forum document referring to JPM coin and XRP as competitors. Right down here. Crypto assets designed for interbank or intrabank payments and settlements. Examples, JPM coin, XRP. Most relevant for wholesale CBDC. Well, here's a little video I put together. First part's Brad Garlinghouse on 3/12/18. He's on Bloomberg Markets, and they're talking about how Ripple's trying to replace SWIFT. Then, just as a reminder, on the 14th of June, just 3 months later, him and Ethereum free pass speech. And if you've been watching this channel, you know that it wasn't just a free pass for Ethereum. It was also a free pass for tokens that Joseph Lubin said if they're structured correctly, they can be issued as fundraisers, because I've shown you the video. They actually do have fundraisers because he says they don't use words like IPO because it rhymes with ICO. He said it's semantics based on what I've heard him say. But so Ethereum gets its free pass. Well, what also gets a free pass? I have a question mark. Does JP Morgan, since it's on the Ethereum blockchain, does it get a free pass too when that happened? Okay, because I've never heard anybody talk about whether JPM coin is a security. And then the second part of this clip is on 8/28/20. Joseph Lubin on consensus acquisition of JP Morgan's Quorum / how it competes with SWIFT. Then this I can't remember if it was 12/22 or a day or two plus or minus, but it was right there. 12/22/20. Jay Clayton, who's in the same SEC where Bill Hinman was, sues Ripple and ties Ripple and XRP up and walks out the door. Now watch the video.
So RippleNet is trying to take on SWIFT. What's been the traction like? Who's come on board?
Well, it's interesting as you step back and look at this. If you and I decided we were going to send $10,000 to California today, the fastest way for us to do it would be to drive to the airport and fly it there. That's a crazy thing to think about when you're in the age of the internet and we're used to information on demand. When we think about the customers that have come on board, it's because we're solving that real problem. We're changing the nature of a payment taking days to settle to California to seconds. So we now have well over 100 customers ranging from some of the biggest banks in the world to payment providers to the Western Unions and MoneyGrams, Linlin Pay out of China.
How many banks?
It's over 100. I actually don't know the exact number now. Last time we announced it publicly, we said over 100. We'll probably announce the next one when we get to over 200. We're signing up more than a bank a week now.
What are they using Quorum for?
So the publicly announced applications are their interbank information network, which has north of 400 financial institutions around the world. And it's essentially a messaging layer, similar to what Swift does. JP Morgan, I believe, has around 4,000 financial institutions in their correspondent banking network. So one could imagine that all of those organizations and perhaps more will eventually end up on IIN. So Consensus is supporting that network. And Consensus is also supporting JPM coin, which is a stable coin solution. So,
and what you're looking at is that World Economic Forum document that shows them side by side as competitors, I assume. Okay. Then there's this. I just happened to run into this. This is a Joseph Lubin clip from Consensus, and he says something. I've been following all this stuff since 2013, and I have never heard that JP Morgan was involved in Ethereum even before the launch of Ethereum. But don't take my word for it. Take his.
JP Morgan started paying attention to Ethereum blockchain technology even before public mainnet was released. So they started experimenting and building out some things when we were still building proofs of concept. They had...
wonder if they invested in any of it at the... since they were involved before it went the public mainnet, wonder if JP Morgan bought any Ethereum in the ICO.
Of different teams that focused on blockchain technology, and we've interacted with them roughly from the start. We started to interact with them in a really concerted way around the time of the advent of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. We were two of the major drivers of that initiative and have been two of the major drivers of activity inside the EEA since launch, really.
That part, they've been one of the drivers behind the Ethereum Alliance. I don't know why, but that reminds me of that group of law firms and all that went to the SEC and met with them before they sent Bill Hinman out to give his personal opinion that Ethereum was a non-security. All this stuff just kind of pops up in my head. It's weird. Then this little part right here is where Charles Hoskinson, who was with Ethereum from the start, comes out and he tells us who else was involved or there from the beginning.
The Ethereum team is really one of the most remarkable that I've ever had the privilege of working on. It's a wonderful mix of both old and new. There's some senior software developers, people who work for Goldman Sachs off Wall Street. We have very young entrepreneurs on the team, older entrepreneurs.
That's interesting. So we got some people from Goldman Sachs, and we know that JP Morgan was on the scene before the public launch. Now here's a Charles Gasparino tweet. Clarity, most crypto is outright fraud. This is some traditional journalist or whatever. He's responding to a thing about Hester Pierce. Calling them securities is kind. Take the compliment. And then he copies Gasparino in, and then Gasparino says, if this is true, indict JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. I like this Gasparino guy. He's tough. And then Mr. B says, I'm curious about two things. We'll get back to all of this drama with Ripple, the Ripple lawsuit in a second. I wanted to take an aside here because Mr. B pointed something out to me today. I'm curious about two things. Why hasn't Jed sold XRP since the 31st of August? And then Leonidas was helping him on that data. Then he says, with Charles Gasparino, he's outshining the light on the SEC versus Ripple case. Why isn't Brad Garlinghouse out there telling Ripple's side of the story? That's the tweet. Well, I know what he's getting at with that number 2 question there, because I was thinking the same thing. Brad Garlinghouse has a lot of things to come out into the media and pounce on, but he's not doing it, which makes you wonder if there's any talks going on for a settlement. And then Mr. B told me to go check out Jed McCaleb's, who he follows, because he only follows like 100 and something people. He said, go look at all the people in here, and there's a lot of them that have to do with space. And I've told you before on this channel many times that I think that Starlink satellites from SpaceX and Elon Musk, that I believe that they're putting a lot of nodes on a lot of these blockchains on these satellites in outer space, so that we can literally have intergalactic currencies, like Greg Kidd said. So if you go down here and you look through, you'll start to see a few different. There's one called Varda Space, building space factories for earthbound products. And as you go down, as you keep going down, he back in space. See what this guy is. It just says back in space. And then as you go down, the Aerospace Corporation. Makes you wonder, what would a digital currency guy be fixated on space for? And this is the most interesting one I saw. The Orbital Index. And so since it interested me, I decided that I would go and check out their website. And here's what it shows. Starlink coverage. So you can literally pull this up, and let me hit the refresh and see if I can get this to. These are apparently, and look, it says MIT licensed, by the way. There are literally Starlink satellites, and it looks like they're tracking all of these little dots. And I don't know what all this does, but it sure is fascinating to me that Jed McCaleb, whose website for Stellar, by the way, is literally a constellation in space, if you go look at it, stellar.org. I believe all of this was always designed to be, they put these nodes in outer space, they put them under the ground so that nobody can take down your financial system. And I think that's a big part of what this is. Now, let's get back to it. Charles Gasparino was going on Cavuto to talk about the develops in the SEC cases. And so here it is, Coining 203 added all the clips. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play 2 of them this time, and then I'm going to play the other 2 in tomorrow morning's video. So here we go.
All right, think quickly. Tom Brady and Gary Gensler, the football superstar versus the SEC chief. Both have dramatically different views on the future of Bitcoin. As you know, Gensler has been targeting the Wild West of cryptocurrencies as something he is going to rein in. In fact, doesn't think it has much of a future anyway in a few years. Tom Brady, the ageless football superstar, though, saying that he finds the whole technology intriguing. And in a serious interview yesterday, he said, I think it's an amazing thing that's happening in the world with the way the world is becoming more digital, and that these digital currencies, along with a lot of, if you look at how the world is going with all these different digital mediums and how they're impacting currencies, he goes on to say, I'd love to request to get paid in some crypto and to get paid in some Bitcoin or Ethereum or some Solana tokens. So he's a fan, and he's ageless. Gary Gensler, not so much. He might be ageless too. I do know this guy's a superstar and ageless. Charlie Gasparino, what he makes of all of this. Charlie.
I'm just making sure my earpiece is in right. I wasn't sure I heard you right there.
That's a very big, split there, right?
All right, and then you have part 2.
Split there, right? One who's singing its praises in the future, the football star, and the other wants to rein it in and wants to make, this whole technology a shooting star. What do you think?
Well, and there's a lot of split with Gary Gensler these days, particularly on his approach to regulating crypto. And we should point out it's not binary. It doesn't have to be like filled with fraud and, the greatest thing since the French fry. You know what I'm saying? It could be somewhere in the middle where there's fraud, but also this is the blockchain technology, which is the technology that allows transactions to occur through that sort of through the ledger, as they're known. That in itself has tremendous possibilities, and the question is, does Gary Gensler's heavy-handed approach, and I think it would be considered heavy-handed, I don't think I'm going out on a limb saying that. It's not opinion. This is basically what everybody's saying. This is sort of approach where he's regulating by enforcement, where he's attacking the industry every day, where he's throwing shade on the tech.
Okay, I'm going to play his second 2 clips and some other stuff. I'm going to try to release it early tomorrow morning. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that JP Morgan was involved in Ethereum since before it even launched.